Hello and welcome to the third episode of Keeper of the Keys. This is a very special episode because 3 is my favorite number, and who I'm going to be talking about today, who I am unlocking the door to today, is Sarah Kinsley. Wow. So I'm going to be putting the key down. Don't take it. How I found the artist. I always start off by how I found the artist, how I came across this musician. It was on TikTok, which I'm sure a lot of people found her through. I was introduced to the King track and I absolutely loved it. Again, if I'm not looking, it's because let's take a look at my computer for a second. Okay, Slay. I was gonna do a tour and then I was like, you can see it. Okay. So I was introduced to the King, which I think a lot of people found her through the King, if not when she toured for Mitski. But yeah, I heard the King and I was immediately hooked and I loved it. Okay, so doing a little research, but also, you know, I listened to her, so I already knew about this, but her first release was an EP called The Fall. I do need to listen to it more. I love the track Mist though. Soon I dove into her space and watched the music video for The King, and the King EP was released and it altered my world forever. The King EP is comprised of 5 lovely, heartbreaking, marooned feeling tracks: Karma, Over and Under, I'm Not a Mountain, Caught Up in a Dream, and the title track, The King. The King has a live version released on Spotify that almost humanizes the song in a way where it is entirely its own thing. It's only pianos and vocals. It's simpler and crueler, if you ask me. Without the lovely drums on the studio version, it isn't something revivable. So, I mean, it strips it down in a way that's like so raw and real, whereas like the drums version is like a totally different version of the song, or totally different like feel to it. This I think is straight from Genius lyrics. This is Sarah speaking about the King. She said, I had written this list of things that I wanted to do before I turned 20. Stay up all night to watch the sunrise from my window, dance in the rain barefoot on my driveway, and go through the street. And then the last thing on the list was like, write the song of my youth, of my life so far, you know, something really big, telling myself to do, something to remember the past few years by. So if that's not a great introduction to this EP, I don't know what is, but it does really feel that EP is like an introduction to her, I feel like. What was the EP before titled? I forget. Yeah, The Fall. The Fall was like her kind of messing around, kind of putting her foot in the water, but The King I feel like is like her first true baby, like her first project. And it's such an introduction, it's such a beautiful introduction to her space, and especially what she was in that time of her life, just a very coming of age visual. I will say, when I do these types of videos and analyzations, the meanings in the songs always change for me because I'm like really doing a deep dive into them and I'm not just like sat with them. So this EP has actually changed for me a little bit upon like researching it. I was really reading the lyrics and really understanding it in a different like way, and I was just like, wow. Like, just honestly wow. Anyway, all right, so to open this EP, to introduce herself and her art to us, she opens it with, or this isn't opening it actually, but this was the first single, even though The King is the closer of the album, of the EP, if I'm making sense. But I think it was the first like real single from that EP. if it wasn't karma, oh my god, now I'm like straight lying. I can't remember, but anyway, at least this is what I saw. This is what I heard. Her lyric, I built a time machine to see you again. I built a time machine to see you again. That line did wonders for me. I remember hearing that line and feeling so immediately entranced and charmed by her. I love witty writing, and this was a line that welcomes us into her world. Genius Lyrics says this is Kinsley's coming of age song. I believe that this is the ideal song. Again, I'm repeating what I said, but that welcomes us into her world. It was a song of living in the moment, of growing up, of being nostalgic for a moment you're presently in, all in one. A song that I'm sure Sarah will look back to and realize this is her beginning, but also the end of beginning. Her career, if you ask me, skyrocketed after that. If anything, like TikTok says, it went triple platinum in my house. It did. My friend and I were in-house karaokeing her music. It was, and we still do. That's not past tense. That is so current. That EP makes a appearance every time I see my friend. So, The King is the title track and the closer to the album. The opener to the album, Karma, is Georgia Page, gorgeous, is a gorgeous breath of spring. It's a back and forth of wanting to make something work, but knowing deep down it isn't meant to be. It's a karmic relationship, if anything, or it's like we just had to simply go through this experience with someone or learn something more about ourselves. That's what I feel like the title, not the title track, the first track of the King EP means and is. The entire album, if anything, the entire EP, if anything, is going back to someone, backpedaling, treading through troubled waters, building that bridge with faulty wood. The second track, Over and Under, discussed being over someone and then back into them. The lyrics, so this is for the song Over and Under, which is crazy. The lyrics, the tree in my backyard, the look on your face, I guess some things never change. She repeats this in the second lead up to the bridge later in the track. The tree in my backyard, the look on your face, I guess some things have to change. That always makes me go crazy when I hear it. And then her chorus, I'm over and I'm under you again. It's an insanity track, a track about being back and forth with a person. She's over the person, moving on until she isn't, until she's under them, literally, but also underwater, drowning within them. They've got her under a spell, underground, underworld. She's under. The bridge is my favorite to listen to. The lyrics, sacrifice my devotion, feel my skin against the ocean, I'm back in, you're pulling me back in, and my torso in the tide now, the sun will come back down, I'm under again, I'm over and under and over you again. Slam poetry, it is so good. Like, I was reading this, like, I've always loved this track, but really looking at the lyrics is something so different. And I was just like, oh my God, she's a genius. After the insanity and chaos of Over and Under, we are under again. If you've read Sarah J. Maas, A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first book, you remember the under the mountain scene part of the book. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in a former episode. I will probably mention it for the rest of these episodes because that scene is so crazy for me and I just always think about Under the Mountain, Feyre. But you will remember the Under Mountain scene part of the book. This is something so holy to my friend and I. We both have Under the Mountain playlists with songs feeling simply under, helpless, down. This song is if Under the Mountain scene had an anthem. So I'm talking about the next song, I'm Not a Mountain. So this is the third track on the EP, I'm Not a Mountain. It is so special to me. This is probably my favorite track from that EP and one of my favorites always from Sarah in general. It's one of my favorite works. So the lyrics in the song, if I could choose, I'd never lose. I'd always take without giving. I always think about this line, and every time it comes on, I'm always singing it, and I'm like, if I could choose, I'd never lose. Like, hear her. If I could choose, I'd never lose. I'd always take without giving. This line, especially coming after the track Over and Under, where it feels like you've constantly been the one to fall for everything, fall under, fall in love with someone or something that isn't. It hurts because it's saying, I would be triumphant, I would be victorious. If I had the ability to choose, I'd get what I want. I'd take without giving. Then the lead up to the chorus, if I were a mountain, I'd stand my ground and maybe I'd never listen. But if I were a mountain, I'd close my mouth and maybe I'd be forgiven. And then she's like, this is the craziest part of the song. She's like, but I'm not, like, she's like singing. I'm obviously not gonna sing it, but I'm not. She's saying like, I'm not a mountain. If I were, I could be strong, but I'm not. And she says, I'm not a mountain, I can't hold you on my own. I'm not a mountain, I will crumble when you go. There in the square, my arms in the air, is it so bad to be alone? I can do it on my own. And then she repeats, I'm not a mountain, I'm not a mountain, I'm not a mountain, like over and over, and it's just sickening and a beautiful piece of work, and I love this track so bad. So I feel like this is her, like she feels like I'm not strong enough to handle this. I'm not strong enough to hold you or keep myself together when you're gone, if you leave, if I let you leave, if I let you go. Very similar to the Ariana Grande lyric in her new track, Twilight Zone. Always wondered what would happen if I let you lose me. I love that line. I think it's so smart. Like, not that he lost her, but if I let you lose me. I just think it's like similar to this track a little bit, or one of the lines at least. If she puts an end to the cycle, the karmic relationship of this over and under, off again, on again, off again, will she be able to stand on her own? Is she capable of that? And then I said again, A Court of Thorns and Roses, under the mountain, she goes under there as a human with everyone surrounded. So this is spoilers. If you have not read A Court of Thorns and Roses, skip a little bit. I'll probably put a time frame like right here, of when to skip to. I'm probably gonna say it really quick, but just please go into there spoiler free. I love that series and it sucks to have spoilers. Anyway, but I feel like this track is very similar to the scene in A Court of Thorns and Roses, Under the Mountain. She goes under there as a human with everyone surrounding her as fae, as like magical, powerful. She goes there for love, she fights for love, and it's false. It's not who she's meant to be with. He doesn't love her in the way he should. When I think of Feyre Under the Mountain, my heart breaks, and when I play this song, I think of that scene too, and it's just like, it's crushing. All right, the next track, Caught Up in a Dream, equally crazy. I analyzed this as reflecting, stuck in the past, another insanity track, a direct over and under reference, feeling pulled under and you can't grip onto it, realizing what a dream it was, how fable, how it wasn't anything she expected it to be, how she was sleepwalking. She says, the tide is turning. Who am I in your memory? What am I when you look at me? What do you see? That's so crazy. So I said, wondering what impact you have on someone when they're out there, when they're out of your life. People walk in and out of our lives, and sometimes it feels like it never happened. Another Twilight Zone, wait, actually, no, that quote before was past life. Now I'm just realizing that. The Ariana quote, that was past life, because this is Twilight Zone. I don't know why I'm doing another Ariana Eternal Sunshine. Maybe this, Eternal Sunshine album is very similar to what I'm hearing in this, or, it's the same thing, like, that's going on, like, narratively. But I had another Ariana reference. This was in her new song, Twilight Zone. Sometimes I just can't believe you happened. And we've all had that moment where, like, it doesn't feel real, or it's happened so long ago that you're like, Did I dream it? I think memory, you know, messes with everything, but memory changes and you're just like, wait, that wasn't something like I made up or like maladaptive daydream, like that actually happened. I said, because you think about that person that's out in the world feeling their feelings, thinking their own thoughts, and you're disconnected from them, and you wonder what they think about when your name comes up in the conversation. When they pass a place or a sign or something that has you etched all over it, what do they think about? And then I said the Phoebe Bridgers lyric, do they feel shame when they hear your name? Like the Sarah Kinsley lyric in this song, like this is all going back to that, will you think, like, who am I in your memory? What am I when you look at me? What do you see? Okay, then later in the song she says, I still think of you every now and then. Will you think of me when you have a second alone? I said, this line cripples me. Upon every listen, I think back to people in my life and wonder if after all the chaos and moving on with their lives, if they think about me or if I'm merely a thought, if the power or the thought translate to them, or if at the end of the day it's all me and it's always been me. So like, I really am someone who like believes in, I think you could be batshit on your own. I think you could be crazy on your own, but I think it's something that goes two ways. I think if you're like crazy thinking about someone, and like, I think they could be crazy thinking about you too. Maybe I'm delusional. I am delusional, but I feel like it goes both ways. I think sometimes like we don't even mean to still be thinking about someone, or maybe we just like haven't really, maybe we just haven't like moved on or sorted through that, and that's why it's still bothering us. Maybe we're stuck in the past. It could be stuck in the past. There could be many different variables, but I just feel like sometimes it is both ways. I think when you think about someone all the time, they're thinking about you too. It's not just you being batshit sometimes. Maybe I'm feeding delusions out there, but I do believe it. When she says, will you think of me when you have a second alone? This really got me, like specifically like in my life, because I was just like, I wonder with, like, again, I'm repeating what I said, but I'm trying to make it sound like it makes sense if you didn't get it. But I feel like when people, or like certain people are out of my life, I was like, they're probably so busy with their job, or their thoughts don't run rapid at their job, or when they're doing other things, or maybe they've done things to distract themselves. But when they have a second alone, when they're in bed trying to go to sleep, or when they're doing something else that they can't escape it, will they think of me? Do they think of me when they have a second alone? Like, I just want to know. And I think that line is crazy, and it like was crazy with me. At the end of the song, she lets him back in again. She tries to stand tall, nestle her feet into the sand. If anything, the waves are pulling her back in for good. She will always have this. The beach sand turns to quicksand, and she can't escape this fate. Okay. The King EP closes with the title track that we discussed earlier. Okay, so then after Caught Up in a Dream, we have The King. And then that's the rest of that EP. That EP as a whole is insane, is one of my favorite works. And it's like her first, again, it's her first baby. I will always be attached to that. That's when I first got into her. That's when I first felt connected to her. And yeah, I love it. I love the King EP. The next EP was Cypress, Hills of Fire. Okay, so Cypress is comprised of Hills of Fire, What Was Mine, Green, Cypress, and Lucky Drive. Hills of Fire, the lyrics, I can't stay the king forever. So this EP to me was Sarah moving onward and past the King era. Like Insanity, I go back every now and then. I just said this, but when I'm truly upset or need to feel the feelings that only come from that album and tracks like I'm Not a Mountain and Caught Up in a Dream, I go running back to you. That's one of the Hills of Fire lyrics. But yeah, I love that album. Okay, so these tracks in Cypress, What Was Mine is the next one. It's one of those tracks, or does it start with Hills of Fire? Yeah, it starts with Hills of Fire. Okay, What Was Mine is the second track. What Was Mine is one of those tracks like Hard Times by Paramore or Nobody by Mitski, where it's upbeat and happy sonically, like musically, instrumentally, but lyrical wise, it's deeply saddening and different. And the juxtaposition of tracks like this always have a special place in my heart and in my mind. If anything, they beautifully represent the chaos. They beautifully represent the chaos of the feeling, the chaos of life, the black and white or gray, the mess in the in-between. Then we get to Cypress, which is the pre-transitioning track, I feel. It's coming to terms with everything. It's laying everything out on the table and looking at what's physically here and what's unseen. The outro of her begging. The outro may mean something different to her, but for me, okay, let me see what this said. I'm like running. I wrote this like 2 days ago and I don't remember what I wrote, so let me read this. Okay, the outro lyrics are: Cypress, save me, hide me in it till I'm in it. Oh, I'm in it. Save me, Cypress, save me, Cypress. Cypress, take me, hide me in it till I'm in it. Oh, I'm in it. Save me, Cypress. For me, I don't know the T. I don't know the T or what's, obviously Sarah has something else, but this is how I'm interpreting it, or if I'm interpreting it right, kudos to me. But I feel like the King EP is a powerful piece of work. It's the beginning of her career. It's also a deeply saddening piece of work. And I think coming out of that is maybe writing about something new, maybe trying to move on from the King EP, who she was in the King EP, and especially the track Cypress. And I looked up what Cypress is because I didn't know, and cypress is like a type of tree. There are different kinds of cypress trees. So that's when I started to say what like this track means to me now. And especially that outro. I said the outro really feels like she's begging, like, save me, Cypress, take me out of this King era, away from this person that I was talking about, away from these feelings. I said this is talking about me, I said personally, I recently started going on walks. There's a specific tree I felt called to, and I go there often. I speak to it sometimes when I'm sure no one's listening. I hate feeling that shame, but it is a populated area, and I do. I'm trying to unlearn the shame of being whimsy and present. Then my dad was randomly watching a documentary of this old man who makes tables and art out of trees, and he said that there are spirits inside these trees. And I just like, ever since then, I've been really fascinated with trees. I feel really connected to trees. I go up to my tree and I like to speak about my wishes and dreams. I like to tell them like how I'm feeling. I look really crazy to other people that are watching, but I really do feel like connecting with nature is something like, until you do it, you don't understand like the power of it. But yeah, so I feel like for Sarah, she's begging Cypress, this tree, which is a type of tree, save me, Cypress. She's reconnecting back to nature. She's becoming grounded. She's at the tree begging, reconnecting, associating, networking. Like, take me out of that King era. Like, I can't stay the King forever. I want to go to this. Like, I want to move on. And I think like the visuals and like the earth symbols, I feel like at least the ocean maybe had been tainted with feeling like pulling her back in with this guy over and under the waves. The tide is pulling her in, and then maybe it's like in a little bit of the off season of the ocean. Maybe we're in spring and it's too cold to be at the ocean. Now we're in spring, we're in nature. I feel like that's what Cyprus is. And like, she's like, wait, we're in spring and I'm moving on. Like, I want to move on. I don't know. I just feel like that's like the sort of vibe I get, like seeing the videos and stuff. But I also like would never want to associate like someone who hurt you with the ocean, because the ocean is a woman. Like, come on. But you know what I mean? I feel like that's like the vibe. Anyway, then I'm so excited to talk about this. Then there's the beautiful, peaceful end closer of this EP titled Lucky Drive. It's the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new one. The beginning of the track sounds very similar to the work she does on Ascension Diamond Sessions, which I will get to that later. I won't say anything, I'll get to that later. But it's very similar to the work that she does on that album, EP, with her contact mic. Her contact mic is Imogen's Mimu gloves. Like, it is something so specific to her. I've never seen other people do that. I don't know if it's like a thing. Maybe I'm not in that type of music world, instrumental like type music world where I know everything, but like I've never seen that before. And seeing her live with it, I was in the floorboards. Like, it was amazing. Okay, so this is about Lucky Drive. I said, writing this now, I'm tearing up reading the lyrics. So I was like analyzing Lucky Drive and reading the lyrics, because I do remember Sarah mentioning that Lucky Drive is about her current relationship. I don't want to include things about like the artist or musician's personal life, because I don't know them and I don't know the reality of them either, and I just like, I don't want to do that. I just think it's weird. But I will say that this art, to think of it as solely as art, it's realizing and unlearning all the worst you have done with love and for love. It's realizing this, I'm still talking about the Lucky Drive track. It's realizing love is gentle and kind and giving. The contrast from her last EP, in this constant state of turmoil and almost forever mourning, eternal grief. She has bumped into someone new, something different now, someone who lifts her up, someone who the tree spirits had sent to her. Her love god has answered. There's a spoiler. Oh, love god is like spoiler, but it, like, if you don't already know, but it's in the Ascension album. It's one of her tracks, one of her craziest tracks. Then next, I believe The Giver was released. That's a single. It was really popular on TikTok. Everybody drove that shit up. Like, it was like the streams were crazy. I try not to listen to this too much because it is that powerful of a song. I only listen when I'm at my lowest. I try not to listen, but I do love the use of repetition in the bridge or outro. Are you hungry for me, baby? Are you hungry? Real ones were there when someone made a Bones and All edit to this song, and Sarah actually like interacted with it and like I think put it on her story, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, she sees edits. Like, it was so cute. But oh my god, that edit was crazy. I need to find that. I need to hunt it down. Now we enter the Ascension EP era. Deep breath, deep breath. Crazy. Okay, so the Ascension EP, this is what it looks like. I said light cascading blue cover to the album. It's very loose, a light, like a star light, but it's very loose. She's wearing loose clothing. It's very freeing. It's an angelic blue. I love that blue. I've been really drawn to that blue. If you've been watching my videos, I think I spoke about me getting really into blue recently, and just especially like Eternal Sunshine blue too, Ariana. Like, it is a specific blue that makes me so happy. Like Nicole Dollanganger's Nicole Dollanganger's Married in Mount Airy blue. Like, I just love blue all of a sudden. Anyway, Ascension is most likely my favorite project from Sarah. It is comprised of Oh No Darling, Black Horse, Ascension, Love God, and Sliver of Time. So Ascension is an EP, but she released the Diamond Sessions, which are stripped down versions where you can find them on YouTube. Like, it's like a live recording. Not that I didn't already know she was talented, because I know she's talented, but seeing it like that was crazy. And just like seeing it stripped down and hearing those songs, they are totally different than the studio. Not totally different, but you know, I like different versions of songs. And I just love the Diamond Sessions so much. I remember when they were getting teased on TikTok and Instagram. And like, me and my friends and my sister, we were freaking out. We were so ready. We were like, when is it coming? When is it here? And it's just amazing. All right, so I'm gonna start with Oh No Darling, because that's the first track. The lyrics: I was a kid till I fixed it. What? What did you fix? Don't tell me that. Don't say that. I was a kid till I fixed it. That, hearing that, you can think of it as many different ways, but like, I'm just gonna let you sit with it. But hearing that, I was like, what? She said, I was a kid till I fixed it, tore into a love affair between me and what wasn't there. Oh, I was kissing you just to feel the air. But are you really there? Are you really there? Were you ever there? This is me and my maladaptive daydreaming. Were you ever there? But I also think this is like maladaptive daydreaming, and I think it's also she was with someone who she thought they were something else. Again, another Ariana lyric I'm gonna do. She saw their potential without seeing credentials. Like, she was like, you know, thinking like it was something else, but it wasn't. Then in the song, she also says, oh, I wonder if she knows of the sweeter days stuck inside the second decade. And I love this line. Every time I would hear it, I was like, when am I gonna get to this? Like, I'm in the second decade of my life. When am I gonna feel like this? And I can say, guys, I can say I've made it. We made it. Let's go. But no, I do feel that now. Or at least this year. I don't know, this year has been crazy. I say this every fucking video, but yeah, I wonder if she knows of the sweeter days stuck inside the second decade. Like, I think she's saying, like, when she's a teenager, or like really, you know, in the beginning of her 20s, I mean, you're always finding yourself, but you're really, like, you don't know who you are. You're really just a baby, and you don't even know that it's gonna get so much better so soon. It does get better. And I would hear that line and be like, I'm so happy for her, but like, when's that gonna be me? Like, but it happens, it happened, and we're here. Okay. The next track, Ascension. Crazy. This is like one of my favorite tracks by her. It's just, you just have to listen to it. It really does feel like you are levitating, like you are astral projecting. Me talking about these albums don't even do it close enough justice. It does, but like, you really need to hear it. Like, listen to Ascension. If I could start with anything, if I could tell you to start with anything, I would start with Ascension. I play it all the time. I will have moments where I have that shit on repeat, and I just listen to it over and over and over again. And the beginning again of Ascension is like with the contact mic, like similar to Lucky Drive. the track Lucky Drive. Okay, and then the lyrics, you loved me for a moment, you loved me just a moment in time. And she says, and I die to stay here, I can still taste the memory of you on my tongue, so why can't I stay here, barely alive, barely awake, in my bed too big. Did she say sleepwalking, or did I? She must say that. Yeah. I think this is her reflecting back on whoever hurt her. It's all in sight. Whoever hurt her in The King. And just being like, alright, but like, you gotta admit it. Like, her talking to that person and being like, you loved me for a moment. Like, for a moment, like, you were into this. Like, you, not into this, but like, you believed in us. Like, we were going to be something. You saw it. There was a glitter in your eye for us. Maybe even if it was a split second. For a moment, you loved me. And I love when she says, so why can't I stay here? Like, why can't she go back? Why can't she stay in that era? She goes, barely alive, barely awake, in my bed too big. Like, sleepwalking. Like, she's literally in a state where she's not even fully conscious when, like, she was with that person. Like, it's so powerful. Barely alive, sleepwalking. Like, you know that feeling all too well. Like, it's just amazing. So I said, if anything, this is my favorite track of hers. It's so melancholic. It's so creeping back in the fears. The fears creeping back up of remembering, if that makes sense. It made sense when I wrote it. The burden of remembering. The bomb. Now we're going on to the next track. The bomb. The chain smoking, drink guzzling art piece that is Love God. I play this when I'm sad, when I need to feel seen, when I'm praying for something new in my life, something better, something good, when I'm wishing, when I want to dream, when I'm angry. I call out to the Love God. This song, you just have to hear it. Like, if you start with Ascension, do Love God right next. Cue Love God next. The studio version and the Diamond Session version equally shatter me in ways indescribable to you. But it just starts off so well. It starts off different in the Diamond Sessions, but for the studio, it starts off like really loud and just like I've listened to it so many times that I hear that beginning part and I lock in. Like, tears immediately. Like, I feel like I'm gonna cry now because it's just so, at the end of the day, like, Love God's gonna have me. Like, you weren't there, Love God was there for me. Anyway, the chorus. Love God, send me someone, send me anyone to close the mountain inside. Now for me, I think this is a direct reference, and I don't care what anyone says. Even if Sarah said it wasn't, love you down. But even if Sarah said it wasn't, I'd be like, all right. Like, subconsciously it was though. I feel like that's a direct reference to I'm Not a Mountain, her other track. Like, send me anyone to close this mountain inside. That's crazy. Okay. And again, it's also like hella Feyre under the mountain. I won't say more because you had to skip before for the spoiler, so I won't say anything else. The studio version and the Diamond Session version are both psychotic. They are both catalysts for my early onset like entering a psychosis, because it's just that powerful. I enter a new world, a world where I beg and plead, where I'm rewarded. I enter the dream in which I don't know what I meant to say here. I think I said I enter the dream which I am sat in the middle of the day, like thinking about, like when you're daydreaming, I enter that dream in reality. The physical and spiritual world blend when I listen to this song. It's that crazy. Okay. Then this lyric, love God, send me someone, send me any way to kiss away the forces of my mind. I'm literally gonna start crying. That's how crazy this has an effect over me. I typed pause. pause. Send me someone to kiss it better? Like what? Okay, this is me talking. I literally am gonna start crying and my makeup is gonna start burning my eyes. My eyes are burning. This is what happens when you get anywhere near that Love God track. I said send me some, it's like send me someone to kiss it better, to lift me up, to save me, someone who will take me away, who will make everything new again, someone who will see my scars and accept them. Very that specifically, like, will see me and accept me for me. That is very Wise Blood Andromeda coded. She's spoken about it before. I think it's in Genius Lyrics if you look up the lyrics, but she said like that whole song is about her bringing all of her past like difficulties with other people or how they've hurt her and all her wounds to a new person and being like, this is me. Do you, like, you want me? Like, take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that's what I just feel like it's very similar to this track, and it makes me crazy, songs like that. Yeah, I said showing someone how badly you were hurt in the past and them accepting it and loving you. So yeah, like letting someone in to see the broken sides of you and letting them sit with it and like accepting it and helping you, I guess. It's very sad, but this is the type of shit that gets me. Coco. Yeah, so then there's the Sliver of Time track, then Black Horse and the instrumental. This is in the Diamond session. Black Horse is very pushing against the wind, acceptance, moving through. I don't want you to think I'm like skipping over specific tracks that I don't like. I wanted to talk about a lot of tracks that I do listen to and how crazy they are. And that's not to say that like these other tracks aren't as powerful. I just like don't listen to them enough. And I also like want to talk about this music without like directly analyzing each and every song, or like, you know what I mean? I'm kind of like, it's kind of a disorganized mess. No, disorganized organization. What is the term where it's like chaotic organization? Yeah, it's kind of like that in my head, but whatever. Yeah, again, if you haven't listened to the Ascension EP, I would start with Diamond Sessions because they changed my life. They are consistent tracks that show up in karaoke nights with my friend. The strings and piano will always have me hooked. I appreciate the drums. I love the light pop feel, but breaking it down, changing it into something else, a live performance will always have my heart. And now we are at her recent release. So her latest release is the Escaper album. I guess this is her first like real album type. I mean, I feel like all her EPs before felt like an album to me, or at least the EP, the King EP felt like a crazy album to me, but I guess this is her like first baby album for sure. Maybe the ones before were just like practice. They don't feel like practice though. If they are practice, they would be practice for Sarah, because she's that girl. Okay, but I said, okay, so this latest release, I need to do a deep dive into this album. That's my fault, that's my bad. I am waiting for the specific moment where I just let it in. I think, you know, obviously life is crazy and you're in different moods to listen to things, but I also strongly believe that like you are meant to listen to albums when you need them, and like it'll come to you when you need it. And I think this is one of those albums. But I have a lot of tracks on there that I love already. I just don't listen to a lot of them. I don't listen to every one of them, but there are a lot of tracks that I'm like, what? Like, this is amazing. Okay. So these said tracks, Realms, Beautiful Things, Barrel of Love, Nights, and Escaper. So Beautiful Things, it starts with the lyric, I've forgotten the sound of the rain. And she says it so light and airy, like, so like she's just like, I forgot the sound. She sings it. I can't even do it, but she's like, I've forgotten the sound of the rain. And it's just like, you know what? Yeah. It is literally that Drew fucking Barrymore meme, like, in the rain. I've forgotten the sound of the rain. Okay. So personally, this is what I said personally. This is what I feel when I read that line. I said, this is something that I think about when I've gotten back outside. I spent a long period of my life not being outside in nature. I wasn't really an outside person. I don't know if that's right to say. I really don't remember. But specifically, I spent a year recently. This is like up until this beautiful year of 2025. But 2024, I spent the majority of that year. I hardly went outside. I hardly left the house. Now I leave the house any chance I get. I enjoy being outside in this gorgeous weather of spring. Spring has been, it's been like my first spring. It feels like my first spring. I'm like experiencing spring for the first time. I'm like, this is what life is supposed to be like. Anyway, and I feel like I'd forgotten the sound of the birds, the feeling of the wind through the trees. I've forgotten the smell of the grass. I don't know if that's necessarily what Sarah's discussing in the song. I think it might even be actually the opposite. But for me, that's what I think about when I play this song. I sort of tune out the lyrics and make my own reality. I like to do that with a lot of artists. And then when I go to sit down and do this analyzation, I'm like, wait. But I also think our brains catch up in a subconscious way to understanding it before you fully put the information in. And like, do you know what I mean? I think we do get it, or we get half of it, or the shallow version of it, and then we dive in and it's like, whoa. I might just be like spitting nonsense, but if you know what I mean, thank you. I said, but I think Sarah's saying, at least in the chorus or bridge, how can beautiful things still exist? How can she be going through such this terrible time and nature is out there existing, going on, creating art, like it's just beautiful out there. I said, nature is beautiful and very similar to us. It's almost like coming out of winter and realize you had been like overworked or at least too distracted that spring has sprung and it's gorgeous outside. Like, I've been seeing these TikToks. I keep like going on a side note, but I've been seeing these TikToks and they were saying like, oh my God, like April moves fast when you're working every day of your life. And I'm like, oh, I know that feeling. I'm so scared to get back to that feeling, but I remember that feeling. That's what I feel like that song is about. Then lastly, I talk about Barrel of Love, the track Barrel of Love, the gun, the bullet, the wound, the size of Texas. I stole that meme. I love that meme. I saw, I think it was Ivy Wolk said they have a father wound the size of the Grand Canyon, and I literally think that's like the most I think that's like hilarious, and I have stolen it. So the wound of the size of Texas, that is the track Barrel of Love. I put this track on every fantasy book playlist or like fantasy series. I even have a fantasy series that I've been workshopping of my own for years, and I put it on every one, like for different characters or scenarios, whatever. But it's almost like, again, another Andromeda track where it's like, how can you take me so broken and want to play with me? Like, why don't you take someone else, choose someone else? Why me? The Barrel of Your Love, I believe she's in the middle. Maybe this is a Three of Cups situation, Three of Swords situation, where it's like three's a crowd. Maybe there's like a third person in their relationship. That's how I kind of decipher it, because the lyrics kind of confuse me because it mentions someone else. Or it's just maybe that she's supposed to sit in this gun awaiting his fire, like terrified for each moment he puts his finger to the trigger. Like, there's so many things this song can be, but all I know is how it makes me feel, and when I listen to it, and it feels so like crazy strong. I have such a strong connection to it. She's just like, how can I stand in the barrel of your love? Like, maybe she's awaiting the crazy? I don't know. I really can't put my finger on it. I need the genius gods to put it on genius lyrics. Get on that, genius gods. But anyway, that's my closer to Sarah Kinsley. I absolutely love this musician, love the art they make, and I am excited to see what they will make in the future. I'm excited to dive into Escaper even more. But yeah, if you are interested, if I have persuaded you in any which way, I would definitely start with Ascension. Just listen to Ascension, and then queue up Love God Studio, Love God Diamond. Oh, Love God Diamond. That looks wrong too. Anyway, Love God Diamond. Oh No, Darling Diamond. And trust me, like, you will be equally as crazed out about her. She's just such a force, and I really feel so attached to her. I love her music. But yeah, so that was this session, this episode of Keeper of the Keys. I guess I will lock the door again. Which way is it? Yeah, because this was unlocking. I wonder if I locked it right. I wonder if I unlocked right when I first did it. So we'll be locking the door back up. Till next time, I will have a new person for you to talk about. I have some ideas. I always tease this at the end. I always say, like, I have some ideas, and I think I'm gonna tell you and everything, and then I don't. That just keeps the mystery going. Anyway, till next time. Bye.